jesteś? Hejo. O.
Don't look at the river. Just run. Someone just fell in. And the river didn't even change speed. It didn't notice. It didn't slow. It just kept moving, like they were never there. 10 events, documented footage, recorded on camera. 3 of them. The data stops matching the theory entirely. Not almost explained, not work in progress. The model breaks. And I need to tell you something before we start. I've been researching this for 3 weeks. When I finished, I went back and looked at all 10 together. There's something in the last segment that reframes everything before it. I didn't plan that. Stay until segment 10. You'll see it. The river that runs backward. A river has one job. Flow toward the sea. That's it. That's the entire job description of every river that has ever existed on this planet. The Qiantang River in China does the opposite. Twice a day, every day, without exception. A wall of water 15 feet tall charges upstream at 25 miles per hour. No slowdown, no warning. 45 seconds. If you're already watching. If you're not already watching, you have less. People have lived next to this for 2,000 years. They built viewing platforms. They named it the Silver Dragon. They scheduled their days around it, the way you schedule around weather. And every year, people who have watched it before, people who know the timing, people who came back specifically because they thought they understood it, get taken. Not tourists, not careless people. People who had already survived it once. The mechanism is understood. Tidal funnel geometry, bay shape, ocean pressure. The physics are clean. But here's where the model breaks. The same funnel geometry exists in 6 other estuaries worldwide. None of them do this. Not one. Not even partially. Same physics. Same tidal patterns. Same bay geometry. And the Silver Dragon happens here. And nowhere else. The river breaks its own rule every day. And we watch it from the platforms we built to be safe, and we still get taken. Same planet. Different rules. The desert that sings. Listen to that. No instruments, no machines, no people within 6 miles of this camera. That sound, that deep, low, almost musical tone, is coming from the sand. 30 locations on Earth. Just 30. Produce a sustained musical tone when the dunes shift. Deep, held, almost structured, like something is trying to communicate in a frequency just below the one you're built to understand. Scientists have the mechanism. Grain size, surface dryness, slope angle. The variables are mapped and modeled, but the boundary is where it stops making sense. This shouldn't scale to only 30. If the mechanism is those variables, hundreds of dunes worldwide share all 3. They don't sing. The model predicts far more locations than exist. By a lot. Marco Polo documented this in the 1200s, crossing the Gobi alone. He wrote it down. He said demons were trapped beneath the sand, screaming to get out. Scientists today say grain resonance. Here's what neither answer explains. Why the same grain, the same wind, the same dry slope, sings in 30 places and stays completely silent in the hundreds of places next to them. Not slightly different, completely silent. Wait, look at the footage again. Watch the surface while it's making that sound. The sand doesn't look like it's moving, until you realize everything you thought was still isn't. It never was. The hole in the sky. Something cut a hole in the sky. Miles wide, edges almost surgical, shape almost circular. One aircraft passes through supercooled cloud cover. Ice crystal chain reaction. Gap forms as the moisture is pulled downward. That's the mechanism. Clean, accepted, published. But the boundary condition here is strange. This shouldn't produce a circle. Aerodynamic chain reactions trailing from aircraft produce elongated disruption patterns, irregular shapes, trailing edges. The disruption follows the flight path. It stretches, it spreads. It doesn't form a circle. The geometry doesn't match the cause. And yet, here it is. And here. And here again. Different aircraft, different altitudes, different cloud conditions. Same circle. Emergency services in cities below these still take calls on the days they appear. Not panicked calls. Quiet ones. People who just want to know, not what fell from the sky, but what passed through it. And whether it's coming back. Same planet. Different rules. The spiral that kills them all. Look at this circle. Look at how perfect it is. Look at how it doesn't break, not once. These ants are not performing anything. They are not confused. They are not malfunctioning. They are executing their programming perfectly, on a signal that will kill every single one of them. Army ants navigate by pheromone trails. Every ant follows the chemical signal left by the ant in front of it. The system is brilliant. It scales to millions. It builds bridges. It solves complex foraging problems that no individual ant could solve alone. When the lead ant loops the trail back into itself, every ant behind follows. The signal is stronger than any individual capacity to break it. No override exists. No alarm triggers. No second system kicks in. They walk until they can't, then they die, still trying. The largest recorded spiral. Hundreds of thousands of ants. All dead. Pause this. Count how many are still moving. Now ask yourself, what signal would you follow, even if you couldn't see where it was leading? What loop are you already in that you don't have the override for? A 2019 paper documented the same failure pattern in financial contagion systems, information cascade loops, emergency coordination networks under sustained pressure. They listed those specifically, by name. Then the paper moved to the next section. Like staying on that thought, even one paragraph longer, felt like too much. The ground that becomes water. The ground beneath your home is not solid. Not permanently. Not under the right conditions. Earthquake shockwaves hit waterlogged soil. The structure holding the particles together fails, and in seconds, not minutes, not hours, seconds, the ground stops behaving like ground. Roads push upward from below, lifted by buried infrastructure that is now floating in liquefied earth. Buildings that survived the shaking, buildings that passed every structural test, start sinking in the days after, silently, slowly, irreversibly, not falling. Sinking into what used to be solid ground. In Christchurch, New Zealand, 2011. Liquefaction affected more than half the city. Not earthquake damage, liquefaction. The shaking stopped, and the ground kept failing for days afterward. Ground that had held the weight of a city for over a century became the thing that swallowed it. Here's what the engineering community doesn't lead with in public briefings. The surveys already exist. The maps are already drawn. Your city has one. Your street may already be marked on it. The soil type that fails worst under liquefaction is also the most commonly used type in residential development zones built in the last 40 years. That's not a warning I'm adding. That's in the published geological data. Look up your city's liquefaction risk map. Don't do it now. Finish this first. Same planet. Different rules. Fire rising from water. This is water. And this, burning through it, sustained by it, is fire. Same crack in the same rock, same moment, both of them, together. Underground gas mixes with spring water before either reaches the surface. When they emerge, the water erupts. The gas ignites on contact with open air. The mechanism is documented. The chemistry is clear. What isn't clear is why people keep going back to the one in New York. Behind a small waterfall in upstate New York, there is a shallow cave. Inside that cave, a flame burns. Every hour, every season, through flooding, through winter, through decades, fed by gas seeping through shale that formed before the first human took a single step on this continent. When heavy rain extinguishes it, and it does sometimes go out, hikers make the climb specifically to relight it. No sign asks them to. No organization coordinates it. No one gets paid. They just know it should be burning. Something in them knows. They go up. Every civilization in recorded human history treated fire and water as fundamental opposites, forces that cancel each other. One ends the other. The Earth has never once agreed with that. In 30 places on this planet right now, fire and water are sharing the same exit point, and neither one is losing. And somewhere tonight, someone is making that climb in the dark, carrying something to start a flame they couldn't fully explain to you, even if you asked. The lightning above the lightning. You've watched lightning your entire life. From windows, from porches, counting seconds between the flash and the sound. You've never seen what happens above it. Not once. 60 miles up. Above every major thunderstorm. A completely separate electrical event fires upward into the upper atmosphere. Red, 50 miles wide. Duration, 1 millisecond. It was found in 1989 by a camera that was pointed at the wrong part of the sky. A researcher left it running by accident, aimed above a storm system instead of at the storm itself. When he reviewed the footage, he checked his equipment twice before accepting what he was looking at. The footage was clean, the event was real, and it had been happening above every storm for the entire history of storms on this planet. Since then, scientists have documented several related phenomena, all firing above thunderstorms, all invisible from the ground below. Wait. Every storm you have ever stood under had this happening 60 miles above your head. Not some storms. Every storm. The only reason we know is because one camera was pointed at the wrong part of the sky. How many other wrong directions haven't been filmed yet? Same planet. Different rules. The rarest thing ever filmed. Fewer than 50 recordings. That is the entire documented archive of this event. Every country, every decade, every camera ever pointed at a storm from above. 50. Most people who see it, rewind it, watch it again, still can't fully commit to what they're looking at. Crown flash. Extreme electrical charge peaks at the top of a thunderstorm. Ice crystals floating above the cloud align with the electric field. All of them, simultaneously, like a crowd of people turning their heads toward a sound only they can hear. When the field shifts, they shift, instantly, together. A spike of silver-white light erupts, twists, collapses, reforms. Not random, not chaotic. Structured. Looking like it's responding to something. One commercial pilot. Documented case, not anecdote, on record. Described the formation, adjusting its orientation relative to the aircraft's flight path. Shifting when the aircraft shifted, orienting toward it. His supervisor reviewed the incident report. That specific line was removed before filing. Not because it was impossible, because there was no established protocol for what it would mean, if it was true. 50 recordings exist in the entire archive. Some of those pilots have seen this directly from the cockpit. None of them are in that count. The fish that predicts earthquakes. This animal lives between 650 and 3,000 feet underwater. No light, near freezing water, pressure that would kill you in seconds. It can grow to 50 feet long. It is the longest bony fish alive on this planet. We have never filmed a healthy adult at full depth, not once, not in all of recorded marine biology. Every specimen ever studied was already dying or already dead when it was found. We don't know how it moves at full depth. We don't know how it breeds. We don't know what it eats in sufficient quantity to grow to 50 feet. We know almost nothing about it. In Japan, it is called the Ryugu no Tsukai, messenger from the sea god's palace. The belief is old and specific. When oarfish leave the deep and beach themselves, the earth is about to move. In the months before 2011, dozens of oarfish washed ashore along Japanese coastlines. Fishermen noticed. Local news covered it. Scientists noted the unusual frequency and moved on. March of that year, 9 magnitude. Largest earthquake in Japanese recorded history. The tsunami it generated killed nearly 20,000 people. 2019, they appeared again. Multiple sightings, weeks apart. Weeks later, a 6.7 struck near Yamagata. Official position, Correlation, not causation. Sample size insufficient. Deep-sea fish lack the biological mechanisms to detect seismic shifts. But a Japanese seismological research team quietly began logging oarfish sighting reports alongside standard geological monitoring data. Officially categorized as cultural documentation, the logs update in real time. That's not the part that stays with me. The part that stays is that no one on that team uses the word coincidence anymore. They didn't publish that change. They didn't hold a press conference. They didn't write a paper called "Why We Stopped Saying Coincidence." They just stopped using the word. Same planet. We don't agree on the rules. The one with no answer. Every event in this video has a framework, a mechanism, a model, a partial explanation that at least accounts for most of the observed behavior. This one has nothing. Ball lightning. A sphere of light, golf ball to car-sized, appearing during or just after electrical storms. Moving with apparent direction. Not drifting, not random. Moving like it knows where it's going. Passing through closed glass windows. No fracture. No thermal trace on the glass. No evidence of physical contact. Like the window simply wasn't relevant to it. Vanishing silently. Or with a sound like a gunshot, in rooms that show no blast damage afterward. No scorch marks. No displaced objects. No physical record that anything explosive occurred. Recorded in every century of documented human history. By sailors alone on open ocean. By soldiers in the middle of active combat. By scientists at their own desks, watching it cross the room they were working in. By a physicist in St. Petersburg in 1809 who watched one roll slowly across his desk, absorb a bronze medal from the surface, and exit through a closed window. That incident is cited in academic literature. It has never been reproduced. It has never been disproven. For most of history, mainstream science called it hallucination, optical illusion, atmospheric misidentification. Then cameras became cheap. Then everyone had one. The footage accumulated from different countries, different decades, different witnesses who had never spoken to each other, all filming the same thing. 15 competing scientific theories now exist. Plasma containment, microwave radiation, quantum coherence effects, oxidizing silicon nanoparticles. 15. Here's where all 15 break. None of them account for window penetration without thermal transfer. Not one. That's not a gap in the model, that's a wall. Physics as currently understood does not have a mechanism for that behavior. Not an incomplete mechanism, not a provisional one, not a theoretical placeholder. No mechanism. We photographed a black hole 55 million light-years from Earth. We mapped individual protein molecules. We have physically sent objects completely out of our solar system. We cannot explain. A sphere of light that enters your room, moves with direction, and leaves through a closed window like the window agreed to let it pass. The footage says it happens. The physics says it can't. And last week, it was recorded again. Same planet. I thought these 10 events were isolated. Different sciences, different centuries, different corners of the same planet, no connection. That's how I started writing this. I thought it was 4. Then I found something that made that number not stable anymore. I don't know what to do with it yet, but I'm still looking.